Hi, I'm Chris and welcome back to another video on learning Symfony 2. In this video we're going to be looking at Twig, the template engine for Symfony 2. It's the official template engine and it comes built in to Symfony 2. Well, not built in as such, but available straight away. We're going to be looking at how to use template inheritance in Twig to make your life a heck of a lot easier. If that doesn't make much sense to you at this point, don't worry about that. It's basically just using templates as few times as possible and sort of reusing the code in them. But it makes more sense when you see it, so don't worry about that. We're going to be looking at including style sheets and JavaScript in your templates, something that you're going to need to do pretty frequently, and there is an easy way of doing it. And then we're going to be looking at actually getting Bootstrap working with Symfony 2, with your Symfony 2 installation. Bootstrap, if you're not aware, is like a really popular web front-end framework going around at the moment. You will have more than likely seen sites that are using Bootstrap, even if you weren't aware of it. There's the URL anyway. We're going to be talking about Bootstrap 3. It's just been released like a few days back, and it's changed pretty much everything, or enough to have upset me when I had to migrate a site really recently. But anyway, then we're going to be looking at installing Bootstrap using Composer, and then finally building up a simple Bootstrap layout. But once you've got the basics down, you can do any of the layouts. Again, we'll see that when we come to it. So, right, when we left off in the last video, we had an additional controller that we built and some additional routes. I think we even had an additional template. Now I've deleted all of them and I've just got back to the default controller. I've got one route and I've got the basic template, so it's all sort of matched up. And if we look at the moment, it's still loading. Right, so the first thing that we need to do is make some changes to the config_dev. Now that's in your app config_dev. At the moment, when you open it up, these bits won't be in here. So scroll to the bottom and type them in as you see them: twig, cache false, debug true, and then this helpful little bit of code. Basically what this is doing is enabling our Twig templates not to be cached, which if you leave this setting out when you make changes in your development environment, you're not going to see the changes until you run a cache clear, which is a total pain in the arse if you're having to do that every time that you've made a change. So even so, once you've made those changes, you need to log into your command line and go to your site and do a PHP app console cache clear. Okay, so what that's basically going to do is reload all your config files and take note of this change that we've just made, which again is just turning off the cache for the development environment. If you're unsure what these are, basically you've got 3 different config files. One's for your development, one's for production, and one's for test. So in each of these you can set up various different ways that your site is configured. Don't worry about that at this point. Just know that in this case we're changing config_dev and we're just adding these bits in. Right, so now that we've made that change, the site should still be loading fine. Yep, good. So we'll have a look at some problems that you will come across, no doubt, when you're working through a Symfony install and working on a site. So the first one is we'll remove, let's see, well, we just won't pass in. Let's take a copy of that. And we'll get rid of that because we'll want that again in a minute, but we'll just get rid of it for now. So at the moment, what this is saying is just render, oh my god, just render the default template in our demo bundle. So this template, index HTML twig, just render it as is. And if we look, that's actually got a variable in it, so we're going to get an error here. So it's saying the variable name does not exist. So that's kind of weird though, because what they're saying to me at least is the variable name does not exist in that template. But if you look, the variable name does exist in the template. So what the error really is telling you is that it's not being passed to the template. Which is one of the things where when I was starting I was like, huh, what the hell, why is the error messages like as cryptic as possible? But you get your head around them eventually. So anyway, if you notice, we've still got this variable getting passed into this method, but it's not been used anywhere, but that's not causing any trouble, so don't worry about that. So if we take this out and save it and then reload, there we go, it's actually loading now. Yet if we look at the root still accepts that parameter, but again it's just getting passed to this this method, but it's not being used, so no worries there. So as it is, this is the most basic template that you can make. It's just text and it renders out without issue, as you can see. So you can put anything that you want in there, and also you can put in, you know, should you so wish, you can put in HTML tags if your IDE is a little friendly and it's putting them in for you. There you go. So it does render raw HTML like that as well, but that's kind of like the most basic way of using a template. So before we go any further, without anything to complicate anything, what we can do is do some basic sort of inheritance, and out of the box you will have got a base template. Now this is to stop you from having to type in the full sort of HTML boilerplate garbage that you have to do to get a site working, you know, on the web. Otherwise you're going to get like HTML what's the validation errors. So you put this in once, and then you can extend this template from all your sub templates, and you're going to get all this goodness thrown in. And as you can see here, you've got like these blocks built in which you can override, but if you don't override them, they get the basic default that you've left in there. So if we're to extend this template, which we're going to do now, let's see, right, and what I'll do is I'll show you where on the Symfony site you can find this stuff, because it's always easier just to copy and paste. Where are we? Templating, and we want to scroll down and find the include. Where is extend? Sorry, there we go. Just going to nick that bit, and I'm going to go back, just paste that at the top. So what this is saying is basically extend this base template, right? And then these two dots, colons, is it colons? Yeah, colon, whatever. Anyway, what this is saying is go to it. Normally, right, this is the one time when this looks completely different, and this again is something that threw me. So normally you would say something like what is it, on MCM demo bundle, and then you would see a folder name here, so it might be called something like I don't know, forum or something like that, and then you'd have in here a folder called forum, and then in here you'd have like your whatever template html.twig. So then you would, from here, this would be like html.twig, right? But because this is extending from your app directory, and it's like the shared common directory, you can ignore, or you can, what's the word, you don't need to put in these two bits, and then as soon as you don't, it's just going to look straight in the base. So in this app folder. So I hope that makes sense, because that was one thing that really stumped me when I was starting out. It's like, why on earth's that not got it when it's in the root? But anyway, there you go. So let's see what we get off that. So at the moment we're just literally extending. We can get rid of that, we don't need that. Let's delete it. Messy. At the moment we're just extending the base. Base has some blocks already set up. Let's see what we get. So a template that extends another one cannot have a body. Basically it's saying we have to use one of these blocks to put our text. So we're just going to go block body, because if you can see here, there's like this body block, and this can be called anything. In fact, we'll just rename it. We'll keep it there like that for now, and I'll show you that you can just rename it. Where are we? So we need to put in block body. It's basically just telling the template where our text needs to go. And there you go. Right, so if we look, now we can see that we've actually inherited all that stuff. Don't worry about that, that's the web dev toolbar. But the rest of it we've inherited, which was kind of cool because we didn't need to type it. And so you can imagine when we've got a ton of sub-templates, you don't need to keep typing in this boilerplate garbage that slows you down. And again, as I say, you can change this to whatever you want. I don't know, body blah. Right, and remember we've not actually updated that there, so we should get our error again. Oh, it's disappeared. Oh, I see what it's doing there. Basically, we're telling it that it should be in this block body. The body doesn't exist. That block doesn't exist, so it's just not doing anything. It's just actually rendering this top bit out. But if we change that to color, there we go. It's come back again. And again, if you look in here, you can see that you've got this title, block title, and we've got a welcome. So if we look there, we've got this welcome. So we'll call it default title, right? But then if we go into our sub template and we go block title, I have overridden the title. And there you go. So you can then sort of use, programmatically passing variables to set certain parts of the template which are overridden. But if you negate to put that in there, it just uses the default. So it's pretty cool, pretty easy to use. And that's basically template inheritance and in its most basic form. Then we could do, say, well, let's see. We might have a sub template in here. We'll call it sub template, and we could have in here some I don't know, stuff, HTML twig, and then we could have like a list in here of things, and then so at the moment we've just got our hello. We can change that. This is the content of index HTML twig. Oh, I don't need to type it on, you know what I mean. So at the moment we've just got that, but we want to include that. So we've got the extends here, but we don't actually want to extend this time. We want to include, and then what have we got? MCM. What's our bundle called? MCM demo bundle. And we've got sub template. Oh, we're off default, aren't we? Default. MCM template bundle default. Sub templates. Stuff. HTML twig. Pretty sure that should do it. And there we go. So effectively what that's done is just drag that in as though he was doing a PHP include. It's just gone ahead, and as you can see now, we've got a little bit of a slightly different syntax going on here. We've got our top level bundle, then we ignore anything from like there down to views. It automatically knows to look in views, so forget about any of that. And then we've got the default, because that's where our sub templates folder comes under, and then we've got sub templates, but then we go into this slash nonsense. So anything sort of after this second colon, if it's in a subfolder, you've always got to put a slash, if you know what I mean. Like if this was then in like second subfolder, then we'd need to do second, lowercase second. And again, so it's like anything after that has to be slash, and that's something that again doesn't really seem to show up on the Symfony website. Now they've got a thing going on there where they say don't have massive subdirectories going on, but inevitably in a project you're going to end up with if it's a big project, you're going to end up with pretty in-depth subdirectories. Now try and keep them as clean as possible, but you will see when we come to doing forms later on, there are times when putting stuff in a subfolder is pretty helpful. So let's have a look at what the next thing was on the list. I'll quickly pause it here and then we'll move on to style sheets and JavaScripts. Right, so the next thing that we want to do is be able to include JavaScripts and style sheets into our web page, I guess. To do that, there's a few different ways that you can do it, and there's like one or two that are kind of the standard, and then there's ways that they show you on the Symfony site. So that's what I'm going to cover first, and then we'll go back into like how you kind of tend to do it in the real world. But to start with, if we look at Symfony's documentation for templates, there's a bit on here about, where is it, including style sheets. Right, So what this is saying, basically we can simply put in one line which will include the style sheet or the JavaScript. So you've got to kind of copy and paste it from there. Now I've been in already and I've created an example JavaScript which simply logs out a line to the console, and I've also created a style sheet which just sets the background of the page to a colour. Right, so one thing that's confusing on their site is it doesn't really tell you where to put these files. Just tells you that you add them in to the template and then they should mysteriously work. Now, where you've got to put them is in the web folder. So you create a CSS folder for your CSS style sheets, and then you create a JS folder for your JavaScript. So you can call them whatever you want, it doesn't matter. They're not going to end up here in the long run. It's just to get this example working, this is where they've got to sit. So remember, they're sitting in the web folder. Now, to get this working, we're going to change our base template. I'm going to just paste that in, and we're going to change it for, because remember, it's what this is saying is look at the web root, or look from the root for a folder called JS, and then in here we're going to call it example, because that's what our file's called. But you might think that you should be putting this in your resources folder somewhere or in here somewhere, but yeah, the example's not great. You need to put it in your web folder. So we put in here this JS example, and if we run it now, well, if we look at it, we can see it's just going to log out a line. Now it's not going to work this because there's a bit of jQuery, but it's a good example. Right, so we've got Firebug. I'm pretty sure I've already covered installing Firebug back in one of the earlier videos. I'm just going to refresh, and you can see that we've got our jQuery error. If we look in here, you can see that this file is actually working. Now, if we put that, say we'd put this, in fact, we'll just I'll just keep it called as main, and then we refresh. We're actually getting an error there because it can't find the file. But if you go in and look at it, you will see that it literally is 404 in. So that's a pretty handy little debug there. If you can't find, like, if you're struggling to get your page, your scripts loaded or whatever, just try opening them via the source. And if you're getting a 404 error, you know that something's gone pear-shaped. Right, so to get jQuery working, we're going to have to do a jQuery Google. I'm just going to nick the library from Google jQuery. Just going to copy that in. If you don't know about that, by the way, that's just hosting jQuery using Google's whatever it's called, so you don't need to keep it up to date on your own end. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Right, so if we then go back, hey, it's worked. So yeah, it's pretty much as simple as that. We write a quick bit of JavaScript, shove it in a folder, tell the template to include it, and it deals with it and does the rest. And again, it works the same with style sheets, slightly different syntax. So I'll just nick that again from the Symfony site and pop that in. And ours is called My Style. I'm pretty sure this is pretty garish, so let's have a look. Not so bad. Yeah, so kind of straightforward, eh? That's, as I say, that's not really the way that you would do it in the real world. So I guess for completeness, what I will show you now is the way that you kind of see it done more frequently. You can put it in one of two places, both your style sheets and your JavaScripts. You either put them in the bundle where you're working, or you can put them in the top level. I would tend to stay away from the top level because it could get kind of muddy and messy, and again, if you're sharing your bundle with other people, you're going to be missing some files there. So what I tend to do is just put them in here. We're going to create a new folder called public, because these are going to be publicly accessible resources. We're going to we can just drag across our JS folder, and we drag across our CSS folder. Put that in the wrong place. CSS top level, and then we would probably normally create another one called images, which pretty self-explanatory. That's where your images would go. Right, so if we reload that, it's broken, which is kind of cool. So what we need to do now is actually change this up slightly, and this is documented on the site. If we scroll down, it does actually tell you the slightly different syntax. Well, the syntax is the same, but slightly different path. We're going from the bundles directory. Now, again, this is running from the web directory. If you look here, there is a folder called bundles. At the moment, it's got the Acme demo, but I can go. It doesn't need to be in there. So yeah, there's this bundles folder. It's got two symlinked. Symlinks, sorry, just go into two weird folders miles away. Don't worry about that, and I guess don't click them either, otherwise you end up miles away. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling here, so I'm going to get back to it. Basically, that bundles folder is created for you automatically, but you can delete it and it will recreate it for you. And all it's going to do is it looks through all your different bundles, it goes to the public folder, and then it takes out the relevant bits that you've put in here. So in this case, we're going to do bundles / and then it lowercases them all from what I remember. Again, demo bundle. What have we got? JS example. I think that's right. Bundles, and again MCM demo bundle, blah blah blah. I'll give it a shot. And then from now, what it will tell us is we have to use PHP asset console, blah, 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 PHP app console assets, install target, and then and again this is kind of weird as well. This confused me. You've got to change this to be where you want it to go. In our case, it's going to be web, and then you can put the symlink on if you want. Symlinks basically are symbolic links. They're ways of, rather than having to physically copy stuff across, you can just trick the file system into thinking that path is, look up symlinks, I'm not explaining it well. They're cool, but I don't think they exist on, well, they definitely don't exist on Windows. So, right, what are we doing? PHP app console, assets, install, and then we're going to put ours in the web folder, remember, symlink. And then if we look, we've got this MCM demo, right, and it is symlinked. You can see there, if we just watch this path at the top, it's taken us off to the source directory, MCM demo bundle resources public. But if you remember, we was actually in the web folder, so it's kind of like tricking the path so that we don't have to copy the resources twice, so that they're in the, effectively what it's doing, right, is it's we're not putting the files in the physical location twice, so that you only update them once, and then you can run this command and it doesn't copy them. That's it. That's why I say I'm not explaining this very well. Forget it. Forget everything I've said. Let's just see if it works. So when we reload, it ain't working. Damn you, Adams. Why is this not working? What's going on? Let's get rid of that /, shall we? Have we got a /? No. What's going on? MCM demo bundle. Am I right? MCM demo. Sorry, you don't need the bundle bit. My bad. Let's try again. Ha ha ha, it's all worked. Right, so yeah, you saw me get into a little bit of a panic there. I'm sure you did. What else have we got in this video? I am fully conscious that these videos are getting really long. The next bit is actually Bootstrap, so I'm going to end here and I'm going to cover Bootstrap in the next section. Okay, so this step of the tutorial is pretty much entirely your choice as to whether you want to go ahead with it, but we're going to be installing Bootstrap 3. It's pretty involved, so yeah, bear with us on this one. Right, so the first thing we need to do is actually go into our composer.json file, which is in the root of our install. I'm going to need to add some bits in here, so let's just make a line there. Okay, now I've got something over at my site which I've just added to help you out here. It's, as I say, it's quite involved, so yeah, need to find, right, if you can't find this, by the way, if this has moved on, just go to /bs3 helper. That's the short link to this page. Right, now we want to go to this link, as this guy's already been through and done pretty much all the hard work for us. But because we're using Bootstrap 3, some stuff has changed a little bit. So I'm just going to copy these bits out and paste them into our composer.json. So we're just getting LeFo, less PHP, and Twitter Bootstrap. And I think he's got aesthetic bundle, but we've already got that in, so yeah, cool. Don't need that last one. And then what else has he got? So he's got his aesthetic YAML. We're going to be coming across that in a sec. For now, right, one thing I think is I don't have Git installed. So first thing to do, and apologies if I've not covered this already, but basically sudo apt-get install git. I thought I'd already done that, but looking at it again, I don't think I have. This should be pretty quick, but the next step is to install Java, and Java takes ages to install. It's like 85 meg, and unless you've got a pretty quick internet connection, it's a time waster. Alright, so I'm just up arrow there to get this back. Sudo apt-get install open jdk 7 jre. Yeah, 81 meg. Right, so I'm just going to pause the video whilst this installs, because as I say, it takes a while. Actually, in fact, before I pause it, we might as well do something in the background here whilst that's waiting to install. So, as he says here, you're going to need to install CSS embed and YUI compressor. I'm just going to go ahead and get that link open and take, let's see. Yeah, I'm just going to right click that, copy that link. So it's just the latest one, whatever the latest one is on when you come to it. Yeah, no, I can't really do anything until this is downloaded. See if this last one does it. No, it's saying 20 seconds. I'll just pause it. Alright, it's finished, but it's finished with an error, so just gonna have to run this apt-get. Seeing the update. Should have done that first, apparently. Silly me. Right, so I'm just gonna have to run this, and then I'm gonna rerun that command. Yes. Now this should be a lot quicker this time, but again, I'm still going to pause it. Okay, so it's just finished, and it seems to have finished successfully this time. So you might be wondering why on earth we've had to install Java. It's to get the filters working for aesthetic, something that we've not covered at the moment, but we're going to be seeing a bit more of. Now, it's quite confusing to look at, so don't worry about it too much at this stage. Right, the next thing, as I said before, we're going to have to install this CSS embed, or at least download it, because it's going to look for it when it's doing its thing. So we need to put that into app, and then resources, and then we need to make a directory called Java, and then change to it, and then wget, and then just right clicking to paste that link in. That's a nice and quick one. Let's just double check it's there. Yeah, cool. Okay, next thing is to, well, we need to sort out this, where are we? Config YAML. Right. So yeah, on the web page that I've set up, let's get rid of that because that's confusing. And yeah, effectively, what I've done is I've taken his aesthetic config, and I've changed a few bits and pieces to get it to work with Bootstrap 3. And I've done the same here, but we'll see that in a sec. What have I done with it? Oh, back. Right, so yeah, I'm literally just going to copy and paste this whole thing in, and you can hopefully do the same. And effectively all it's doing is it's giving our aesthetic, which is an assets management utility. Don't worry about it at the moment, really seriously, don't worry about it. All this is doing is we're just giving it some setup, some config, and all these paths that we've just had to download that. Yeah, so that's what we were setting up just then, creating that directory and so on. So I'm just going to paste this into this, just delete all of that, and then save that. So that's uploaded, and what else do we need to do? We'll need to clear the cache. Okay, what have we got? Failed opening required. Have we done a composer update since we did that? I don't think we have. Yeah, so basically what that's saying is, as far as I can tell so far, it's saying it can't actually find the less. Less is like some CSS, advanced CSS doodad. Again, don't worry about that if you don't know what it is. We're probably not going to cover too much of that, but it's something for a different video. You can see there it's installing that, and that's because we put it into our composer JSON, and I've forgotten to run composer update after it. So now this other command, cache clear, should work. Excellent. Right now, if we load our page, at the moment nothing's changed, which is good. We now need to go into our base and copy in this. Now I've had to unfortunately put in some spaces here because WordPress was being a bit lame and it wouldn't let me what wouldn't it let me do? It wouldn't let me put that in without spaces. Basically it was having a bit of a Benny. So yeah. Oh, it's so crap. What have we got? Cover these two in a sec. Block, and that. Should be good. We've got body. We've forgotten body. Right, now if we go back here, we might need to do a... Well, let's see what happens first. I'm pretty sure this won't work. Nothing should have changed. Oh, well, what have we got? Yeah, okay. Right, what that's saying there is that it can't find, as you can see, an aesthetic file. So we need to do a PHP app console aesthetic dump force source file does not exist. jQuery min. Why is that? That's because we need to install jQuery. So lame. Right, so instead of just grabbing the usual jQuery from Google, what we're going to do is do it via this. Let's just take that out. So we've gone back to packages, just gone to jQuery, and we're going to use a composer tracked version of jQuery. Just paste that in. I think I'm just going to knock that to dev master. Let's see what we get that time. Just have to do another composer update. You get so used to doing these damn command lines that you'll just feel pretty at home with them relatively quickly. I'm pretty sure when I started out on this video I said that templates are like one of the... I might have not have said it. Templates are one of the easier parts of Symfony. If you're watching this and you're like, Jesus, what on earth, man? If this is easy, then count me out, because this seems like super stressful. All it is really is, this is pretty widely used Bootstrap in Symfony, the Symfony community, and being able to do this will stand you in good stead. Right, so we've just updated that. Let's see if now we might need to clear the cache again. I think that should do it. No, not composer update. We're going to do a... Yeah, that's looking better. Right, and what this is doing is it's getting all our different files. So as you can see, like the jQuery files and the Bootstrap JavaScript files, the CSS files, and it's like scrunching them all together and making them minified and so on. And in the development environment, they all come out as individual files, as you can see. But in the production environment, it actually squashes them together into one JavaScript file, I think, and one CSS file. So effectively, when your surfers or visitors come along, they're only downloading one file as opposed to many. So technically the load speed should be quicker. Now Symfony's not the fastest anyway, so anything to speed it up is a good thing. Not that I'm slagging off Symfony, by the way. I think it's really cool, but compared to like Django and stuff, it is pretty slow, in my opinion, my experience. What have we got here? Something's going pear-shaped. Let's try one last. Oh my god. One last cache clear. And then we'll just have a quick look at that template and make sure that it's all tickety-boo. Something's not right there. Let's have a look. What have we got? Let's get rid of that for a sec. Style sheets, that can pop that bit in as well. That bit. No, I'll get rid of that. What else have we got? Block body. The hell's happened there? Blah. That must have been when I copied and pasted. Let's have a quick look. Oh, what the hell's happened there? Right, that should be fixed by the time you guys come across it. Let's just quickly pause that and sort that out. Right, yeah, figured out what the hell's happening there. Basically, I put that into WordPress. Yeah, and it had decided to convert that for me nicely. Anyway, that should fix it. It's fixed now on the actual live site, so apologies. Let's just clear that cache once more. If we do this the last time, hopefully after a very, very long video, this should be done. Oh, it's not done. Why is it not done? What's going on? Let's try one last time. Heaven forfend. Oh, what's going on? Something's gone wrong. Right. Title is coming off wrong. This is entirely my fault. It's good to see that I'm a complete noob. What else have I missed? Title, meta name, blah blah blah. No content, is there? I think that's actually working, but there's no content. Body extends base. Yeah. Let's try again. Something's gone pear-shaped there. Can't see what it is. I'm sure there's people sat there watching this right now going, "You're an idiot." I can see it. I can see it right now. You're an idiot. What is it though? Get rid of that. Don't need that. Oh, let's just put something in there. We can worry about this in a sec. Go away. Right, so it's working. So there's some sort of weirdness going on there. Let's see. Oh, it's because I don't know, default index, default extends base, block body. Is that called block body? Yeah. What the hell's happening there then? Block body. Get rid of that. And put something in here. Yeah. I think that's because I've been messing around with the snapshots and stuff on this virtual machine. Anyway, sorry about that. That went on a bit. So yeah, right now we've got the most basic type of Bootstrap template in there. If we go, as I said, way back, get Bootstrap. If we go and do something very simple. For example, what one of these is simple? I think this one's pretty straightforward. And we'll just do a cut of that and cut the whole body out. Go into our base. No, go into here. Paste that in. Give this a whack. See, there you go. So it is actually pulling in the styles. It's not perfect because I've not copied in all of it, but you can see straight away that without, I was going to say without a great deal of work, but with very little work, we've actually just got the whole Bootstrap, Bootstrap styles and so on pulled into our project, which is really helpful. As I say, going forwards, you will probably come across that in the real world. So hopefully that's been useful to you. Yeah, and in the next video, we're going to be looking at doctrine, so stay tuned.